Alright guys, welcome back to Hook J Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about UFC 135, so stick around.
Before we get started, remember to check out Extreme Knockout. They have their new show coming up September 29th. It's an all-women's undercard. It's their second annual one. Tickets are on sale now. If you can't be there, check them out at xko.tv. They're pretty cool. They have all the highlights, and I think they're gonna live stream it there too.
More details to come. Stick around.
They're here.
Welcome to the Hook J Podcast.
Who the fuck is that guy? Who the fuck is that?
When it's all said and done, I know one thing that I can do. I can fight. I can give it, and I can take it.
You should have left me over on that other game that I'm from, that more ruthless game where we bounce heads off the canvas and drill them into the floor. You should have left me where I was.
The show starts now.
Alright, so to kick off these FS2 prelims, we got Mickey Gall versus George Sullivan. So I'm actually kind of taken aback by this. The very first fight out the gate is Mickey Gall and George Sullivan. And when Gall was having a good push, he fought CM Punk and beat him on his debut.
Yeah.
And he just recently fought Sage Northcutt, which was a big push from the UFC, and he beat Northcutt, but he lost to Randy Brown. So that was last year, and I don't understand why, personally, that they put Mickey Gall as a first card coming out the gate on a prelim. I'm hoping that maybe that's just, a mistake on somebody's part and it's too late to fix it.
I think it's just because he's got a notable name, is what it is, and they're trying to bring. It's the first card of the prelim, so if you can get people that are like, "Oh, I've heard that name before," maybe you can wrangle some people trying to get to FS2 or whatever, like ESPN 8, the Ocho. It's going to be an interesting matchup between the two. Mickey Gall hadn't fought in over a year. I don't understand why. I don't know if he got injured.
But he's fighting George Sullivan, right?
Yeah.
And
The Silencer Sullivan.
Yeah.
George the Silencer Sullivan.
He's only won one out of his last four.
It's a tune-up fight.
It's a tune-up fight. Okay, so he had, one fight earlier this year. He didn't fight at all last year, and he fought back in 2016, January. So that's almost 2 years off between fights. I understand the loss, but I don't personally know how good George Sullivan is, but throwing him up against Mickey Gall might be just a lamb to the slaughter to get Gall back in the win column.
It might. I think that's probably what they're thinking, at least. Sullivan, he's 17-6. He's got one no contest. He's a veteran of the sport at this point. He's been through a couple scraps, obviously. Whereas Mickey Gall, this would be his sixth fight professionally. So maybe that's what they're thinking. We'll put him against vet of the sport, give him a little tune-up fight, get him back in the game, get back in there.
I guess, dude. I don't understand the reasoning behind it, but, this hopefully will be a good fight to come out the gates with, to start the night with. Mickey Gall is actually a really good wrestler. His ground game is no joke. I like watching him fight. I like his attitude, too. Whenever he beat CM Punk, he had the Diaz approach, what do you think was going to happen?
Well,
I kind of like that because
we all kind of knew it was going to happen there. I mean,
Yeah.
And out of everybody they could have chose to put against CM Punk, they chose a guy who's a legit black belt.
yeah.
He's got some serious ground game, and they're like, "Oh, we'll put him against this guy." And the age difference was ridiculous. It was 14 years or so.
Yeah, I mean, he's only 26 at the time. I think he was 24.
Yeah, there was
Fighting a 40-year-old man.
Yeah,
so,
there was ridiculous age difference. It was the most horrible matchup ever.
And he's got a 100% finish rate on submissions. That's insane. He's submitted everybody so far, except for the one he obviously lost by a decision, which I don't know. I'm always iffy on the decision wins or losses.
Was it by decision?
Yeah, he lost to Randy Brown by decision. So, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of decision wins and victories because, I want to see somebody get tapped out or get knocked out. I mean, everybody does, especially when people get robbed of their belts. The
What?
dethroning of
You?
Mighty
When I
Mouse.
beat you? Oh, you're talking about that one? Okay.
Yeah, the dethroning of Mighty Mouse.
I mean, that
Complete
night
and utter
was
bullshit.
amazing because there was, 2 belts? 3 belts that left? No?
No, it was only
2 belts.
It was only 2.
Yeah. It was yours and...
Mine doesn't count.
Yours-
TJ kept his. Mighty Mouse lost his. And this should be a good fight coming out the gate, especially if Gall can do what he likes to do, is put him on the ground and submit him. So watch out for that one.
The next fight is Andrew Sanchez.
El Dirty.
El Dirte.
El Dirte.
El
Like
Dirte.
Joe Dirt. Joe Dirte.
Don't try to French it up, boy. It's dirt versus Marcus Perez.
Marcus Maluco Perez.
Maluco. Sanchez is 10-4, and Marquez is 10-1. So from the stats here, it looks like a pretty even matchup. I'm not too familiar with these two.
I don't ever remember seeing Marcus fight. I think I've seen Andrew fight, just going off the top of my head. He's coming out of the Ultimate Fighter, though. Looks like he lost to Khalil Roundtree last year in December.
Okay, so it's been a while.
Yeah, it might be why I don't remember him off the top of my head. Man, it's like they say, you're only as good as your last fight. I'm only going to remember your last fight, too. He lost to Anthony Smith. Oh, yeah.
Who lost?
Andrew Sanchez. He lost to Anthony the Lionheart Smith, who we were talking about not too long ago on our last show, who put on a really good performance.
So both these people have lost to notable fighters now.
No. I was only looking at Sanchez.
So Sanchez has lost to 2 notable fighters?
Yeah. He's lost to 2 notable fighters, which means
maybe
he's
Perez,
either really bad or he's at least up there. He's just getting bested.
So maybe they're trying to feed him to Perez.
Maybe, but the guy he's fighting lost to one of the guys that's later on in the card, Eric Anders.
This card mainly, I've noticed, is about bringing talent up. You know,
It looks like it's a build 'em card.
Yeah, it's a lot of, they'll have a couple notable fighters here and there, or they'll have known names, and then they'll squeeze in 3 or 4 fights of people that you're like, I think I've seen them before. I'm not 100% sure. Going on to the next fight. I don't know how to say these guys' last name.
So Corey Sandhagen? Sandhagen? I don't know.
Sandhagen.
Well, he's American. He's from the United States, so I'll just call him exactly like it's
The pasty white guy in the fight.
Corey Sandhagen.
The
That's how we're
pasty
gonna
white
call
guy.
it. Yeah. Well, we don't know. This is just a mock-up photo.
Well, the picture, he's really
They haven't
white.
even done the weigh-in, so we can't even make a call on that
Well,
yet.
maybe he's got a tan now.
All right, so he's fighting Iori Alcantara.
Yeah, this dude's record is ridiculous.
Wow, no joke. All right, so Corey's at 8-1-0, and Iori Alcantara is 35-9 with 1 no contest. That is insane.
I don't know if that's all MMA fights or do they count the
If
other
it's his
ones?
pro career, then he's had that many. That makes me wonder how long he was in a smaller organization. Because that's insane, man.
Well, he's Brazilian and they do, they're not as bad as the Thais, but they tend to do a lot of fights,
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, he'd have to be.
So maybe that's what it is.
Well, it looks like a lot of his fights came from WEC. Maybe not.
The WEC?
Yeah. He's from back in the day because he was on, look at that. He fought Ricardo Lamas and won back in 2010.
Okay,
WEC 53.
He's been out for a while then, right? What's his last fight?
His last fight, it was last year in December. No, February.
Did he take any time off in between, or has he been fighting
He's been
constantly?
fighting. He's been fighting, boy.
When was his first?
Twice a year, 3 times a year. This guy's insane.
When was his first venture in the UFC?
In 2011, he
Okay.
fought Felipe Arantes, UFC Rio live.
Did he ever leave?
No, it doesn't look like it. He's 11 years.
So he's just
12,
been
13, 14.
undercard the entire time.
Yeah, I mean he picks up a win, picks up a loss, picks up 3 wins, picks up a loss, picks up 2 wins, picks up 2 losses. He just won against Joe Soto, so
He just has this numb record where it's he's doing great and then he loses and they're like, yeah,
Yeah.
forget that guy.
yeah, but he's not quite as fun to watch, I guess, as Cowboy, because Cowboy does that.
Yeah, well, Cowboy's there to fight regardless. I have a complete feeling that like the organization Cowboys got, that CES, you know?
Yeah.
Like the main event, if they can't find anybody to fight Cowboy, or there's like some contractual like disagreement you can't do with the UFC, they'll just put like a board in the middle of the ring, like a post, and Cowboy go out there and fight the post.
Corey, this is only his second fight in the UFC. So
Who did he fight before?
He fought Austin Arnett, and he won. He won his first fight in UFC, so now he's got his second one. So
Did he finish?
his last fight?
Yeah. He fought Austin Arnett his last fight.
Yeah.
He
He TKO'd him in the second round.
Okay.
Back in January, too. So, been a few months since he's fought, but...
So they put him higher up on the prelim than like Mickey Gall. So maybe they're trying to be like, we're trying to push these new talents. And they gave him against a UFC veteran. Obviously, he's been in there for a while.
Yeah.
So maybe they're like, we'll just see what he's got, like, main card status coming up. Or at least they're getting behind him.
Everything on the FS2 prelims, where is this card at? Because all these guys are USA versus Russia or Brazil.
Nebraska.
In Nebraska, of all places. All right.
They were like, the UFC was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hold a card in the middle of nowhere. Let's see. The next one is...
James Krause versus Warley Alves.
First of all, James Krause's nickname on here is the James Krause.
The James Krause.
James Krause.
You know what? I think I'm going to watch this one. I'm going to have to watch this one just to see Bruce announce this.
Yeah.
Just to see Buffer.
James Krause. Like, did he stutter? He's fighting, it's Brazilian, so it's probably got a weird pronunciation to it. It's some Portuguese type pronunciation.
It'll probably be Wally, because ours are H's.
Wally West is in this thing? He's going to beat someone's
Wally
ass.
Alves.
Oh, okay.
Krause is on a little bit of a tear right now.
What's his record?
I say it's a tear, but
23
he's lost.
and 8. 23-8 right now.
His current record is 4 in a row, but he's only got one fight in 2015, one fight in 2016, one in 2017, one in 2018. Now this would be a second one.
He's pacing him out, man.
Once a year.
Who was his last fight?
Okay, so he won against Darren Cruikshank. And he won against Shane Campbell, Tom Galicchio, and Alex White. Yeah, all people that I cannot call off the top of my head. So he's got to be fighting a bunch of undercarders or people who are not as well known. Sir Warles. Wally Alves. Let's see. He's on a 2-fight win streak going into this one. He fought earlier this year on the Nunes card.
Did he?
Yeah.
Who did he fight then?
He fought Sultan Aliyev.
That is the coolest fucking name.
Yeah, he won.
What's your name? Sultan?
He beat Colby Covington.
Did he?
Back in 2015. And Alan Jobon.
Woo!
Yeah, that's interesting.
He's got a couple notable names.
He beat Alan Jobon back in 2014, so Alan would have been new around then anyways. And
same thing with
Colby,
yeah.
He beat in 2015, so Colby would have been an up-and-comer then. He lost 2 in a row.
I mean, he can say...
He did lose to Kamaru Usman, who's a notable name right now.
Usman's
he's in the
going to
bid.
Wrestle everybody, though. Like, that's hard to stop Usman right now.
Yeah, he's something else right now.
I mean,
he only operates at, 30% too?
That's what he said. The interesting part is Warley here. He has a name, a notable, because he's got a former champ he beat. Or a former champ. Colby Covington.
Yeah, but...
he was a current champ. You can always say, I beat him.
That'll pretty much round out the FS2 prelims, which... Other than the Mickey Gall fight, a lot of this looks like it's just up-and-coming talent. So if you want to catch any type of fights, or you're really looking for any named fighter, something you might know, you're going to want to stick around for the main card. You're not going to catch too much on the prelims as of right now. Unless something changes, I think Gall should be pushed up to the first card. The first card on the main card, the first fight, is going to be Eric, ya boy, Anders, who I actually like right now. He's a really good fighter. Versus Tim, the guy who looks like he is the epitome of the dark side in a movie or the evil element in a movie on both his profile picture and his fucking cardboard cutout picture.
He has this look to him where you're like, that's definitely the henchman.
He looks like Death. Tim Williams.
Maybe that's what we gotta start calling him, Death himself.
Death himself.
The man who looks like Death himself.
Eric is actually a good fighter. I'm actually impressed by this guy. I've watched him a few times, and
He's got a record.
I got him confused, not gonna lie, with Thiago Santos.
Yeah.
A few times I was like, wait a minute, that's not him.
But he doesn't have the giant, like,
Yeah.
Thor hammer.
Well, I mean, just like off of trying to remember who he was, I was like, wait, didn't he fight this guy? Didn't he fight? And I was like, no, that's a different dude. So he lost to Lyoto, that split decision, which I think, in my opinion, Eric won that because I'm just saying. Well, he fought a.
We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah.
Don't be accusing people.
That was Lyoto's like dragon comeback. The dragon is back, and then he goes to Bellator after he knocks out Vitor, which I don't get. But
the one front kick or the second front kick.
Yeah.
He hit. That's amazing. He hit
Vitor
the
needs to
same
stop.
exact kick.
Vitor needs to stop. But he beat Rafael Natal and Marcus Perez. He had 2 fights in 2017. He lost earlier this year, and this is his second fight.
Here's an interesting statistic according to the official UFC site here. Tim Williams has 0 takedown average, 0 takedown accuracy, 0 takedown defense percentage, and 0 submission average.
All right.
So that doesn't mean he's just like, let's just stand on our feet, brah.
Does that mean he's knocking people out left and right, or does that mean like people are just grabbing him, throwing him on the ground, and he just can't do
Well,
nothing
no.
about
Like,
it?
if you look at his finish, he's got 13% KO and 60% submissions. So he obviously has a submission game. Maybe he just wasn't in the UFC, or maybe there's somebody at the UFC not doing their job and putting it on.
That's insane.
I mean, the UFC is fairly accurate with fighters. Look at their ranking system.
I really can't say much about that one, sir.
We all know they're very efficient at tracking things like that.
Yeah, which is why we probably shouldn't use the official website's metrics. We should probably go onto Wikipedia. The South Jersey Strangler is Tim Williams.
That's his real name. Like, that's his nickname.
Honestly, I like using Sherdog a lot more because they have a lot better statistics, and that's what they got on.
His nickname is the South Jersey
Strangler. Yes.
You know, he looks like the dude that they would arrest. You know, and you have a couple people tied up in the basement. Like,
it looks all right. So
we arrested the South Jersey Strangler here.
it looks like he's only had one fight in the UFC.
Tim Williams?
Yeah. Wow. Lost. Is that Anthony Smith? Did he lose to Anthony Smith, the real Anthony Smith too, or is this another guy? That's
Well, Anthony Smith is kind of a common name. Like, it's two
Nope,
very common.
It was a
names.
Lionheart.
It was?
Yep. He lost to the Lionheart. Looks like I'm running into a lot of people on this tonight who he's just beat up.
Maybe that's what it is. They were like, we need to fill out this card, go through Anthony Smith's, because they're trying to build him up. So, like, go through his win-loss record.
Put everybody he's ever fought in there. Well, yeah, with Tim Williams sitting at, 15-4, I could see why they're trying to bring him up. But I don't see... It looks more like they're trying to bring up Eric Anders, to be honest.
They're trying to push him. They gave him Lyoto Machida, which was a big name at one point. I imagine they're trying to push him even more.
So, Eric Anders got his start SHP, Strike Hard Productions, SFC, back to SHP. It looks like he did a lot of fights in a year or two just to kind of get himself noticed. And then Bellator picked him up back in 2016, and he went over to LFA. And then he went over to UFC. So, his first fight in the UFC was the UFC on Fox, Weidman versus Gastelum last year in July.
Okay.
That's whenever I actually remember that. That's when I first saw him too, and I actually did see him on his next fight too, which was Swanson Ortega. That's where I first recognized his talent in my eyes. I was like, okay, I remember him from this last time where he knocked out, where he KO'd Rafael Natal. But then watching him fight Marcus Perez, yeah, I remember that. He went all 3 rounds. That was a pretty good fight. His Lyoto Machida lost, though. That one's upsetting because I don't think that was accurate. All right, so this is a name oh, man.
John. You can't pronounce John?
No, not John Moraga. John Chicano Moraga.
Chicano.
It's the other name.
What's that one?
Divison Figueroa?
Okay,
Man, I know I butchered that.
Let's call John, John, and the other guy Red Stripe because he's got a red stripe through his hair.
At least on this picture, yes. I don't know, man. I don't know how to say that name. I know I butchered that to hell. I really do know I butchered that.
We don't want to
hell.
butcher it too much, right? What is
It's a flyweight.
Flyweight. It's the number 6 versus the number 14. John being the number 6.
Right. John's number 6. He's at 19-6, and
So
the other guy,
the other guy's 14-0.
Davison, is 14-0.
They obviously want to give him a push because they gave him his number 6.
Well, this will be his 4th fight in the UFC.
Yeah, so he has to be doing fairly well. Who did he fight?
He fought Marco Beltran
Uh-huh.
in a TKO with a corner stoppage. That's interesting.
So he probably got cut or something.
Jared Brooks, his last fight was actually on Machida versus Anders. He fought Joseph Morales. That was a 2nd round stoppage TKO.
Okay, so he's on a little bit of a tear right now.
3 fights in the UFC, and he's been on a win. And before that, he fought in... So this organization was called Jungle Fight.
This actually seems like a fairly decent matchup, especially you look at the stats. They're fairly even. The other guy he's got a little more of a takedown accuracy and an average, so I imagine he's probably gonna try to take him down just based on the stats alone. I haven't really seen these two guys fight. Who's next on the card?
The next fight on the card is Jake Ellenberger, the Juggernaut, versus Brian Bam Bam Barberina. I like
Bam Bam
that.
Bigelow's on his thing?
No, Bam Bam Barberina.
Who's he?
Bam Bam Barberina.
You gotta admit, that's kind of a good, because he's got the 4 B's going.
Bam Bam Barberino. The rest.
It sounds like a wrestler.
Barberina. Sorry.
Like he could have went with a wrestler name if he wanted. Like
That's a...
Bam Bam Barberina. Yeah, he could totally have came down to the ring like that. Could go with a complete gimmick. See, Jake Ellenberg, he's been in there for a while. I know him. He's a UFC vet.
33 years old.
He's 31-14. All right, so he obviously has a winning record. He's positive, you know. I can't remember his last fight. I think he lost his last one, right? Because I remember the knock. Is it Kevin Gastelum?
He lost his last 3.
Okay, I think it was Kevin Gastelum who fought him.
He lost
right?
Jorge Masvidal, Mike Perry, and Ben Saunders in their reverse order. So he lost to Saunders, Perry, then Saunders, Perry, Masvidal.
So Masvidal was his last one he fought?
No,
he lost.
that was in 2016. So his most recent one was Saunders.
So Saunders.
Knee to the body.
Okay, so he's looking for a win. Oh, well, he's got a little bit of a name because he's been in there for a while, right?
He has fought some heavy hitters. Wow.
Yeah.
He has fought, Mike Perry, Jorge Masvidal, Matt Brown. He actually won against Matt Brown. He lost to Stephen Thompson, Kelvin Gastelum, Robbie Lawler, Rory McDonald, Nate Marquardt, Diego Sanchez, he won against Diego Sanchez and Jake Shields. Carlos Condit he lost to. Man, he has fought a lot of people.
Jake Ellenberg's been in the game for a while. Okay, I mean, if you don't believe me, look at even the 31-14. That should be like, oh, he's been around.
Good Lord, man, he has fought some killers.
I'm an Ellenberg fan. If I see him on the card, I'm like, you got this, you Rudy, Rudy.
He's your Rudy, huh?
Yeah. Oh, he's one of the guys you can never.
I don't know, man. He may have just got offered up to Brian Barberina.
What's his stats? He's 13-5.
Right, he's 13-5. His recent fight, he lost to Leon Edwards back in 2017, a year ago actually. So, don't know if anything kept him out, but he won against Joe Proctor. He lost to Colby Covington. He won against Sage Northcutt and Warley Alves. He won against Joe Ellenberger, but he's got no names on him. He really does, other than Colby, it looks like.
And Sage.
Yeah, Colby and Sage. So this might be a chance for him to get back into the win column and get a good push towards bigger and better.
Moving forward, we got the second women's fight on the card, and the only one that actually made it to TV, which is kind of sad. See, Courtney Casey? Or is that Cassie?
Courtney Casey.
Casey?
Yeah, sounds like an actor.
Courtney Casey. That's a comic book character because it's got the two sounds. And Angela Hill, both notable fighters. I've seen them fight several times.
I don't really know if they're notable. Just they're 7-6 and 8-4
in the division.
I'm sorry.
In the division, but then again, that division is not very. All the women's divisions aren't really packed right now, full of amazing talent. There's people that stick out, but for most of it seems like cannon fodder, especially in the cyborg division.
Yeah, as much as I want to see the women fight, there's a lack of talent. I'm not saying they're not talented. There's just not a big roster for them to fight. So, like the names, Courtney Casey.
Yeah.
She lost to Michelle Watterson, Felice Herrig. She won against Jessica Aguilar. She lost to Claudia Gadelia. She won against Randa Marcos, but then again, who hasn't? But other than that, I mean, it's like, all right, guys.
I want to point this out.
She lost to Calderwood.
She fought all those people with, according to the UFC website, a 0-inch leg reach.
0 inch.
She has no legs, according to the UFC website.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know if she could do this that much longer, but hey, they gave a fighter with no arm. You know, he had all the way down the floor.
Oh, Nick Newell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They gave him a chance, so I get no person with no feet. Give her a chance, you know? Angela Hill, or Angela Overkill Hill, she's been in there for a little bit. She was Invicta for a while, and she's known for the during the weigh-in, she does the cosplay. Have you ever seen those?
No.
Invicta, she did it. I'm pretty sure she still does it for the weigh-ins in UFC. But she did a couple. I think she did Black Panther last time, and then she did like Saget from Street Fighter. I remember that one. She did a couple other ones. She's really big into like gaming and Twitch and all that.
Well, I mean, a lot of people are nowadays.
Yeah, she's branching out, which is cool.
Well, she's coming off a win. So
who she fight last?
Marina Moros back in February. She lost to Jessica Andrade and Rose and Tisha. So she's got a few names, but she's 8-4.
I think she was on the Ultimate Fighter.
She was.
Yeah. She came in for the Ultimate Fighter. She did, I think, the one show actually on a card, and then, you know, at the time that division wasn't stacked, and they weren't really putting people on TV unless your name was Joanna.
Yeah.
So they cut off a lot of people, and they brought them back and let them go. And the UFC does not know what to do with the women on their roster most of the time. Let's see, the next fight, Michael Johnson versus a guy who looks like someone just took a marker to him.
Oh.
Andre Fili.
Andre Fili.
Touchy. Andre Touchy.
Touchy Fili? I mean, like, who really wants that name?
Touchy Fili. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's why they named him Touchy.
Probably. Or maybe he just likes to take the John Jones approach. Michael Johnson versus Andre Fili. They're both, let's see, Johnson's got 18 and 12. Let's see, the last person he fought was Gagey?
Michael Johnson?
Yeah. I remember the Gagey fight. Did he have a fight after that?
I don't believe so. He got beat up so bad.
No,
in that fight.
He had a fight after Gagey, didn't he?
Oh, yeah, he did. He lost to Darren Elkins.
Elkins?
Yes.
Okay. And then Andre Fili.
So
who do you fight?
Hang on.
Because he's 18 and 5.
Hang on a second here.
So
Let's go back to Michael Johnson.
Okay, let's go back to Michael Johnson.
So he's on a 3-fight losing streak.
Okay.
He may be fighting for his employment here at this point.
Well, I don't know. Johnson's a big name. He's been there for a little bit.
He's fought some really good guys too. He lost to Elkins, Gagey, and Khabib.
I mean, you're not going to win against Khabib.
Not many people are going to even put it. Anything.
That Gagey one was a war. Everybody knows that one.
Yeah, that was a very good fight.
That was
Gagey's debut.
That was when Johnson got so tired for punching a dude in the face. He took the Homer system. That's when Gagey took the Homer Simpson approach.
That was Gagey's debut that got Gagey on the map, to which he completely stumbled afterwards, which he's on the main card, which is ironic. Gagey's last 2 fights he's lost. Stunning fashion, but he's lost.
Well, he's got one gear, which is forward.
Yeah.
You know?
He Michael Johnson beat Poirier before that, but he lost again to Nate Diaz and Dariush. But then he does have wins over Barbosa, which is...
Yeah, he's been in the game for a while. He's been in the UFC for a while. He's a fan favorite because he goes out there and actually fights. Opposed to,
his UFC career started back in 2010.
Yeah, it's exciting to watch him fight. It's exciting because
the only fights I've seen with him, he's gotten his ass destroyed.
He's not going to go in there and try to outpoint you. He's going to go in there and try to actually win. Maybe not with as much veracity as Gagey, but he's going to go out there and try to win. What about Tucci?
So Andre debuted back in 2013 in the UFC.
Okay.
Before that, he was in the WFC. So he's got some smaller promotions under his belt. He wins his opening fight, loses to Max, wins against Felipe Arantes, loses to Godofredo Castro, wins against Gabriel Benitez, loses
Fucking
to
Castro
Yair.
was in this
Not
thing?
that Castro, different Castro.
Castro's in the UFC.
Not that Castro, different.
Oh, sorry.
Wins to Gabriel, loses to Yair, wins against Diaz, Hakrian Diaz, loses to Calvin Qatar, wins against Artem Lobov.
So he's got like an up and down.
He's a 5-0 fighter in the UFC. He wins, he loses. Up until his fight against Artem Lobov, he won. Then he won against Dennis Bermudez earlier this year. So he finally got 2 wins in a row.
Yes! So he's trying to put together a little bit of a streak. And
Here's the
Michael
thing.
Johnson's trying to get a win.
Here's the thing. He's an alpha male fighter.
Uh-huh.
An alpha male right now just seems to be like they can't come up with a winning solution. And I really don't think it's the fighters. I think it's the way they're approaching all their fights. Because Uriah, on his way out, lost a lot of fights. So right now, my thing is alpha male right now just cannot seem to put it together like a winning formula for any of their fighters. They got Cody there, but he promptly lost. He wasn't able to get it back. Uriah on his way out lost a few. It just seems like anybody in alpha male right now, I really don't want to get behind because they don't have a winning formula. I don't know if it's coaching. I don't know if it's the fighter talent, there's no way it's a fighter talent because Andre Fili had a winning record except for one loss before he went into the UFC. He wins, he loses, he wins, he loses.
Well, I
he
know
wins,
they recently like restructured their coaching there.
Whatever it is, I hope alpha male gets on track and gets their fighters in the win column positively.
And then we have the main event of the evening. Justin the Highlight Gagey. It seems like you could probably go with a better name than the Highlight, but he is kind of a highlight, so I get it. Justin the Highlight Gagey, who's number 7, fights a local boy here. He's from Fort Worth. James the Texecutioner. Great name.
Yeah.
Vic. He used to fight in Extreme Knockout, actually. He was there for...
He made a pass through, yes.
Yep.
He fought in the World Series of Fighting.
He did.
Yep.
And, well, he's been in the UFC for a little bit. I thought, looking at it, I was like, oh, maybe... Because he's recently had a resurgence where he made kind of a big, push. They gave him certain, fights. And, he's making a name for himself now. But he's been there for a little bit, as far as I remember, a couple years now. He's finally making a little bit of a name, which is cool. And, let's see, this is the main event. We all know why Gagey's the main event, because he's just gonna go in there and swing till he hits something or something hits him.
Well, he's going in there and he's walking forward. He's gonna throw everything he's got at you, including the kitchen sink. And after that, if you're still standing, just land some hits on him and he'll go down, which Poirier and Alvarez showed.
I've always wondered this. I know the chances of him listening to this one's very slim, but Gagey, do you have a sponsorship by Bad Boy? Because he has the tattoo of the eyes on there, and that just seems like you might want to actually get a sponsorship before you get the tattoo. Just be like, hey, I'm sponsoring you. I'm the UFC. We know what this logo is. They can't remove the logo from me.
Right.
So maybe he should talk to his manager about that,
Well, Gagey he really does have the name to highlight because he goes in there, man. His opening into UFC against Michael Johnson, God, it was so fun to watch, man. And they beat the living hell out of each other. And then when he fights Eddie, man, it looked like he put a freaking baseball underneath Eddie's lip. He hit him so hard, but he lost that one. Took a knee, and that was it. But he took a lot of punishment beforehand. He dished out a lot of punishment beforehand. And then he goes and fights Dustin, and Dustin TKO'd him. I don't know, man. Watching that fight, if you go back and watch it, Poirier put it on him too. And I don't know if Dustin just needs to rethink because he is a collegiate wrestler, I believe.
Well, he said going forward after the Poirier fight, he's going to change up his game plan.
Well, I
think we
think
might see a little more of a strategy from him, which it should be.
I think what Gagey is probably realizing is this is a whole different brand of fighter that he's fighting. Coming into the UFC, this is top talent. You got to be prepared to look. These guys got just as much iron will to stay in there and fight as you do most of the time. You got to be able to do something a little bit different. If you want to walk forward, great. Score a takedown too, buddy. Throw them to the canvas, beat them up there, then stand them back up and wear them out. You don't have to change it a whole lot from what you do, but you do have to vary it because people have already figured out your game plan, and all they have to do is weather the storm and throw the same storm back. I don't think his chin is made of glass, but I definitely think punishment over periods of time is going to just wear him down. If he continues the way he does and every fight is a massacre going out there, or he's trying to be the guy who puts you through the wood chipper every time, then he's not going to have a long career, which is I don't want to see happen because he is so fun to watch, and I want to see him do that for years.
Watching him fight, we all know he has one of the greatest leg kicks in the division right now.
Eddie could barely walk.
The way he throws it in there just so random. He doesn't give you a hint that he's going to throw it, doesn't load it up or nothing, and throws it in there. That combined with the fact that he was an NCAA wrestler, like he has a division title, I believe.
Right.
Maybe he needs to, besides, we all know he needs to wrestle more. We all know he has those kicks. Maybe he needs to, sit back and have his coach go, hey, you don't need to go hit this dude with your face that often, all right? His hands are wrapped up and protected. You're not going to necessarily do that much damage to his hands with your eyebrows. Going into this one, we all know he kind of has to change his game plan. Because if he doesn't, it's not going to last too long. James Vick, he's doing fairly well.
He's only lost one time.
Yeah.
Back in 2016 to Benil Dariush.
Just
On the
Dariush,
Rockhold,
right?
Yep, just on the Rockhold versus Bisping card.
I think that was coming out of the Ultimate Fighter because he was on the Ultimate Fighter, wasn't he?
I don't know if he was.
I think
but
James
he was
Vick
on
was.
there. If he was on there a long time ago because his first UFC fight was back in 2013. So
I think he might have been. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I know a pretty good record coming into this. 13-1. His last fight was who?
Francisco Trinaldo.
Trinaldo?
Back earlier this year, he fought on the Cerrone Medeiros card. Which was a good one.
Yeah, I remember. How do you finish that one?
It was a decision.
It was a decision?
Yeah.
What about the one before that?
He used TKOs versus Joseph Duffy. He knocked him out in the
That's
second.
the one I remember.
At the last minute, too.
Yeah, I remember that one.
The last second of the round. Nice.
So he's got a little bit of a streak coming in.
You probably remember him mostly, though, from the Miocic versus Santos. Because he was that card where he beat Joseph Duffy. That was the GSP and Bisping card.
Okay.
You might know him from that one, but I'm pretty sure you remember him even more from the Miocic one. Because he TKO'd somebody by punch. Marco Polo, nice. Reyes in the first round. So.
And I know he's going to use his length, his reach. That's what he normally does.
I'm a little sketchy on him because he hasn't fought anybody other than Trinaldo and Dariush, and he lost to Dariush. For him going forward, I don't know.
This is a test for Vic.
Well, he lost in the semifinals to Michael Chiesa too, and Chiesa was a decent fighter.
This is a test for Vic because he's number 10, Gage is number 7. This is his chance to break into it.
So good thing that we're talking about James Vick too, because on September 29th at Extreme Knockout 43 XKO here in the Dallas area, James Vick actually came through there back in 2011. He won both his fights back in July 2011 against Jimmy Taylor, and another one in September. So that was a quick turnaround fight for him. He fought Chris Picaro, and he won that one too. And he would later go on to do the UFC after that. So XKO does have some talent coming through there. I know they also had Kevin Holland, who we talked about recently. I believe Sage showed up there as well. I'm not 100% on that one.
I'm not too sure on that one. I think he might have showed up there for 1 or 2 fights, just a brief little stint. They've had a couple fighters that went in the higher ups of professional fighting, like Ryan Benoit. I believe he's in Bellator. He's doing fairly good. Rashad Couture, he's a heavyweight. I believe he's in the UFC. I know that. I think he fought recently, or somewhat recently. There's a couple other people that have been through there they've been through there, and they're going to be fairly big, because Extreme Knockout doesn't necessarily go, well, you could put on a pair of gloves and throw you into the cage they have.
I would hope so that they don't do that.
Well, they're fairly good. I've watched a couple highlights from them. A lot of the fights are like, I can't quite believe this is the level of talent they have just at these small amateur shows. And it's not just MMA. They have a couple of Muay Thai shows they put on. And some of the knockouts I've seen from there, there's a reason it's called Extreme Knockout. All right? Because there's a couple knockouts, especially they have on it, xko.tv. They have all the highlights. Some of the highlights on there about the knockouts, telling you, you gotta watch them. They're pretty interesting to see. Watch a couple of those highlights, and I'm telling you, you want to watch it. They'll stream it live on xko.tv. The upcoming event is September 29th. Tickets are on sale now. If you're going to be in the DFW area, if you are in the DFW area, if you know a couple local fighters that are like, I want to get into it, go watch this show. Because it's a good way to be introduced into MMA if you've never been to a live show before. Definitely want to go.
There's no want to go. We are going.
We are going.
So yeah, we're going to be at that one, and we will probably do an XKO card. We're just going to break down the entire card coming up, and we're going to go back and look at some of the previous cards. That way we can kind of give you guys a little bit more of a shout out as to who to look for maybe possibly coming up. I know there is one particular female on this card that I am interested in looking into. Not just because she's a girl and I'm a guy, to look into her record. She does have a very good record. So
She does.
I'm not going to mention any names just yet. I want to get some more information so I can be clear and concise with you guys.
September 29th is the all-female show, or the all-female undercard. It's their second annual, and they've been doing it 2 years in a row now.
It's the undercard, right?
Yes, the undercard. Their second annual all-female undershow, and that's going to be pretty interesting. It's great that they do that, especially for the local fighters. It's hard to get a fight if you're a female in MMA, let alone just a small show. It's good that they did it. It's good promoting local fighters, which we are behind 100% at this podcast. If you're a local fighter, you want to shout out, you want to talk about your fights, send us some clips, you can do that.
Links below.
Links are below. Check us out on Twitter at HookedJP. It's Hooked J Productions is what it is, but the Twitter tag is at HookedJP.
But yeah, we'll be looking at the XKO 43. We're going to give you guys a breakdown before what we think, and then after we go to the event, we will come back with our mouths hanging open and give you what we thought about it.
We'll tell you everything about it. We'll tell you about the people there. We'll tell you about what happened, especially because that's what happens at events. Things happen at events.
We'll tell you how much sweat we got hit with, if there was any blood, and Jacob's squeamish. So.
I'm going to try to catch a mouthpiece.
We will definitely talk to you guys about what we see out there, though. Check it out. Extreme Knockout 43 coming at you next month. Other than that, not much happening this weekend, guys. Check out the UFC card, and we'll be back next time
on Dragon Ball Z
on Hooked J MMA podcast, guys. Have a good one.
Later.
Thank you for listening to the Hook J Podcast. Hope you enjoyed today's show. See you next episode.
Sometimes you've got to do what's right for you and not do what's right for everybody else.